everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're tackling a really exciting but, let's be honest, kind of stressful milestone in any young performer's life, a child's first dance competition. If you're a parent, you already know this is a massive moment. It's usually fueled by a mix of intense pride and, well, a really thick cloud of hairspray. You want them to do well, you want them to be happy, and you want everything to go smoothly. So how do we actually navigate this? That is exactly what we're going to unpack today. So the big question right out of the gate is, how do you prepare your child for their first big stage? Now, I want to acknowledge something right away, and honestly, it's a huge relief once you accept it. The goal here isn't to eliminate nerves completely. There's just no way. That is virtually impossible for a first-timer. Instead, our goal is to help your child feel prepared, supported, and most importantly, in control of what they can actually influence, which is their practice, their readiness, and their recovery. To make this as easy as possible, we're going to break this down into a chronological survival guide to help lower your anxiety. We'll be looking at automating the routine, packing for performance day, managing schedules and nerves, and finally, showing support without the pressure. All right, let's dive right into section 1, automating the routine and structuring the practice. Because the foundation of a truly great performance, it starts way before those stage lights ever turn on. Building a realistic practice plan is all about structure. You really want to break those routines into manageable segments. So instead of just vaguely dancing around the living room, use short, consistent practice sessions that mirror the exact structure of a real run-through. That means starting with a warm-up, moving on to practice transitions, then rehearsing the full routine, and wrapping up with a proper cool-down. Why do we do this? Simple. It builds predictability. Now, here's a really fascinating shift in focus for us as parents. For first-time competitors, memory and confidence actually matter just as much as flawless technique. You really want to encourage your child to rehearse the key anchor moments of their performance. Think about their entrances, their exits, maybe those tricky counts. Have them practice those specific parts over and over until they literally feel completely automatic in their bodies. To build on that, here are your absolute practice plan essentials. First up, always confirm the competition date, warm-up times, and performance duration early on. Next, rely on solid cues, like verbal reminders or count markers, rather than throwing in confusing last-minute changes to the choreography. Oh, and this is absolutely crucial. Try to do at least one uninterrupted competition-style run at home. I mean the whole shebang. Dressing, timing, and even the bowing at the end, with minimal interruptions. But wait, what happens if they mess up? Honestly, this is a huge fear for kids. If your child is anxious about making mistakes, we need to continuously reframe their mindset toward recovery. It's like a mental reset button. Instead of just freezing when a mistake happens, teach them the art of resetting and keeping going. Teach them that if they slip on a step, they just need to reset and jump right back in. That way, a single little error doesn't derail the entire rest of the performance. Okay, moving right along to section 2, tagging for performance day and building the ultimate checklist. Because having your gear completely ready is, hands down, the best way to lower your day of stress. You've got to put together this ultimate checklist based exactly on your team's specific requirements. We're talking dance shoes and absolutely, for sure, bring backup footwear. You'll also need hair supplies, safety pins, and tape for those inevitable costume emergencies. Don't forget water and snacks if the venue allows them, plus any required registration documents. And here is a major pro tip. Build in a buffer time to your packing schedule, because, let's be real, someone is inevitably going to lose a shoe right as you're walking out the door. Before you even pack those bags, though, you need to do what's called a wear rehearsal. If makeup or costumes are part of the show, do a full practice run at home wearing absolutely everything. The goal here is to confirm that every single piece fits comfortably and stays completely secure while they move. Doing this at home ensures there are zero uncomfortable or frankly distracting costume surprises on the actual competition day. All right, on to section 3, managing schedules and nerves on the day of. So the bags are packed, the routines are automated, and boom, we're at the competition. The absolute best way to combat day of anxiety is to share a simple, highly predictable timeline with your child so they know exactly what to expect from the second they arrive. Step 1, arrive early. That lets them comfortably transition into step 2, which is a proper physical warm-up. From there, do the official check-in, make time for a final restroom break, and finally, let them settle quietly into performance mode. Knowing what comes next takes all the guesswork right out of the environment. Now, even with a solid timeline, nerves are going to spike. That's just a fact. That's why you want to teach them a repeatable, calming routine. This could be something simple, like a sequence of steady breathing, reciting a short positive mantra, or doing a quick, familiar stretch. Whenever they feel overwhelmed, they can just lean right back on this routine. And hey, remind them of this. Judges are watching the entire performance, the whole big picture, not just isolated moments or tiny little mistakes.
Here's a major stress reliever for parents. Coordinate a clear division of labor with the instructor. As a parent, your job is emotional support, packing, and running that checklist. The instructor's job? That covers warm-up expectations, backstage procedures, and timing. Seriously, let the teacher handle the backstage rules and attire. If your child has a technical question, point them to the instructor. You do not have to try to solve every single thing yourself. It keeps communication crystal clear and massively reduces everyone's confusion.
Finally, we arrive at Section 4, Support Without the Pressure. Let's talk about vocalizing your support in those crucial final moments. How you talk about the competition heavily shapes how your child feels about it and ultimately how they feel about themselves. So try to avoid focusing on placements, scores, and outcomes. Instead, always emphasize their effort, their consistency, and their teamwork. You really want to value the process over the final score. To help with that, let's look at 3 specific supportive scripts you can actually use right before they perform. The first one is beautifully simple. You've practiced this. Just saying that reminds them of all the hard work they've put in, and it reassures them that their body already knows exactly what to do. Moving to the next phrase, look how this builds confidence. Trust your counts. This is incredibly effective because it grounds them in their actual, tangible training. It basically pulls them out of their swirling anxiety and gives their brain a highly specific, logical task to focus on. And finally, we have this simple but powerful phrase. Do your best and enjoy the moment. It just strips away all those heavy expectations and reminds them that, at its core, this whole experience is about growth, learning, and honestly, just having fun expressing themselves out there on the floor. Then, the music stops. The routine is over. So, what do you do afterward? First and foremost, use celebrate. Celebrate the successes and what went well. If you do choose to give any critical feedback, keep it strictly to just one improvement for next time. And make absolutely sure that this feedback is highly specific and, above all else, kind. With a structured plan and your steady support, your child can approach that stage with real confidence. A trophy is nice, sure, but empowering your child to leave the floor feeling capable and proud, that builds a foundation of self-esteem that lasts a lifetime. So I leave you with this. The next time the music stops, how will you define winning for your child? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.